Hi Stampers, this is Kim with Great Inspirations. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to take an in-detail look at a bundle from Stampin' Up that is in the brand new Stampin' Up 2023 to 2024 annual catalog. And that bundle is called the Countryside Corners Bundle, and it is part of the Countryside Inn suite. And that suite of products can be found in the Stampin' Up catalog right here on pages 62 and 63. There are some of the projects they've created using that bundle. And here is sort of a look at what the suite contains, the designer series paper. That is the Countryside Inn designer series paper and the Countryside Blooms embossing folder. And then the Countryside Corner stamp set. It is just one stamp. And then if you look down here, you will see it has coordinating dies. And today I will show you samples of these papers. They're beautiful, lots of shades of blue. I do not have the embossing folder at this point, but I do have the bundle, which is the stamp set and the dies. And that's what we'll be focusing on mostly today. So let's take a quick look at that designer series paper. Then we'll look at the stamp set and the dies, and then we'll discuss the cards. So here is one of the designs. Like I say, this paper is pretty much in shades of blue. There's the Misty Moonlight, Night of Navy, Balmy Blue, and the Boho Blue, which is one of our new in colors. Here's this, which is on this card right here. Florals, kind of a nice neutral in Night of Navy. Some birds, and these are all very country type, even I would say early American or even country French provincial looking designs to me anyway. Another neutral with the stripes. Little fox. Not really sure what that is. Maybe a squirrel. And some floral and leaf images there. Sort of a neutral with some florals. Here's some little bunnies. More floral and stripes. Trees. Which is this one right here. And then sort of a neutral floral pattern, which I used on this card right here. So this is the Countryside Inn Designer Series paper that, of course, like all the products, can be purchased separately, or you can purchase it with the stamp set, the dies, and the embossing folder as a suite, and just have to enter one item number. But now we'll move on to the bundle. And bundles mean that they're products that are bundled together, and if you purchase both products together, you save 10%. So here is the stamp set. And like I said, it's just one stamp. It's red rubber. Has various designs that you can die cut and use in several different ways. And here it is, stamped out in the Azure Afternoon, or I'm sorry, Azure Afternoon. I'm not sure how to say that. I always said Azure, and then someone told me no, it's Azure, but it's A-Z-U-R-E, so, you know, pronounce it the way you care to. But it's a very beautiful color of blue. And there's the image for the Countryside Corner stamp. And then here are the dies. And these dies are like all layering dies. They're very versatile. And I'll show you right here. Made my little diagrams. Here are the countryside corner dies if you would just lay them down on a piece of paper and cut them. And you would have basically frames. So there's those. Like I said, very versatile because you can have all kinds of frames. You can mix and match them and put them inside this larger, basically a card front, to have all kinds of options for creative ideas for cards. And then here are, I'll call these the positives or the shapes that these dies cut out. And as you can see, you can mix and match these with these, and there's just so many possibilities I can't even begin to imagine all the creativity you can do and creative things you can come up with this set of dies. I really like them. So what I did was I cut one up. I just stamped it. And then, if I can get all these in here. To show you, I just laid each die down, used some washi tape to put it in place. And then there's this little teeny tiny banner that comes out of the center. So there it was stamped. I just laid the dies down, just one at a time, put them in place, and then I just ran it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and then I got all these frames or layers or whatever you care to call them, and as you can see, you can mix them and match them any way that you want to get all kinds of possibilities for your cards. And that's just, one layout. You could turn them all around, do it differently. You can use combinations of the shapes or the frames. And of course, you don't even have to use the stamp for this. You could just have it be another color of cardstock and just create all kinds of designs for your cards, all kinds of possibilities. So we'll put these away and we'll talk a little bit about the cards because I think that will be a good way to be able to see what you can do with this bundle. Now, when I first saw these dies, I was so excited because I knew the largest die was a good size to make a shaped card. And that's exactly what I did right here with these two. And in just a little bit, I will walk you through, I think we'll do this one, how I did that. It's super simple, especially with this shape of a die. I don't know, I call it it's an octagon, but I call it an elongated one because these two sides are longer. They're not equal. So maybe it's not actually an octagon. Maybe it has another name. But I just call it an elongated octagon. That serves my purpose. So anyway, we'll talk about how I did this in just a second. But here's a card that simply, I just have a regular A2 card base. I put some designer series paper on it. And then I just took one of the dies to make a mat. And then I stamped and then die cut this portion of the stamp. Put my greeting in there. And there's my card. So that was pretty easy. And this one, I did some similar things. I stamped the image. And then I die cut the same center portion as this. Here, that was a little quick, wasn't it? This center portion right here. But what I did, when I die cut this, I had a frame. So I cut 2 more frames just like it. And they are glued to the back to give it a bit of dimension without dimensionals. And then when I had this piece, I just cut another one and put it on the back of this to give it some dimension, but I also put dimensionals on it. Then these 3 pieces are, I think, like the 3rd smallest die right here. And I just cut them out and stamped some images on them and adhered them together. And they are also on dimensionals. Of course, I put a little bit of baker's twine on there and the birthday wishes greeting. So there's another way to use the Stampin' dies. And then this one turned out to be one of my favorites because it was an accident. But I was looking for a way to use some different colors, some different color combinations. And this is the new Wild Wheat, and this is Lost Lagoon. And I just thought they went together really well. So what I did was I stamped the image in Wild Wheat onto the Wild Wheat card base right in the center. Then I stamped the image on the Lost Lagoon. Excuse me. I die cut out the pieces I wanted. And I was going to just put this one on dimensionals, and I just adhered these flat to the card, and I thought, no, it needs something else. Well, something else is this nice woven ribbon that's in all of the new in colors. And I just sort of threaded it under this die cut, adhered it, and then adhered it to the inside and simply put a full panel inside to kind of hide where my ribbon is glued inside. And that just turned out to be one of my very favorite cards, and I'll kind of walk you through how I did that as well. So for right now, let's pull in these 2 shaped cards, and we'll talk about how I did that. So I have a whole bunch of stuff here. I have my card base, and then I have a front because I'm going to cover the card base, and I have this was cut out with the largest die, both of these, the card base and the front. This was cut out with the 2nd largest die, and it will go inside our card. And then I have a greeting. Now this one, I wanted just a little pop of a different color, so I used the red. And then I thought, no, I think I like the Misty Moonlight better. I don't know. I think maybe had I made the boat red with the red greeting, I might have been better. But anyway, we're going to use the Misty Moonlight greeting today. And then I have my pieces for the boat, and I put some rhinestones on, and they of course are clear, but I use the Misty Moonlight Stampin' Blends marker, the dark one, and I just colored them in. So we'll have some little embellishment for the card. And then I just wanted to show you that I used a regular A2 card base for this card. This is where I cut it out. And that is 8.5 by 5.5 and scored along the 8.5 inch line at 4 1/4. And I know it seems like it's a little bit of a waste, but I used this little bit down here to punch out my boat. So I felt like, oh, that's not quite as wasteful. But I also found that for me, it's best to use an A2 size card base to cut out the smaller card base. It just worked better for me. But you can use, you can cut the cardstock smaller if you care to. But I'm going to talk a little bit about what you need to do. And it's really easy. Because what you're going to do, you're going to take your card base and you're going to take this cutting edge of this die and just put it on the outside of that fold. Get it right, right there even. And this will prevent, when you run it through your die cut machine, it will prevent the die from cutting the cardstock along here. It will only cut on the other 7 sides. Okay? Now, on my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, I ran this through. I just had to pass it through once. I didn't have to pass it through and then back through. Depending on your machine, you may have to run it through and run it back through to cut through both layers of cardstock. But on my Stampin' Cut and Emboss, I had absolutely no problems at all. So now that brings us to the Designer Series paper. And you want to do the exact same thing. And I know this isn't a full size that you need, but you'll get the idea. You will want to, once again, line your paper up so that that cutting line is right along the edge of the paper, but it's not going to cut the paper. And then run it through the die cut machine. Now, this card will fit in several size envelopes. It will fit in a number 6 3/4, which is just a regular envelope that you would send a letter in. Fits just hunky-dory, great and dandy in there. It will also fit in a A2 envelope. Stampin' Up's medium envelopes are A2 size. Fits in there just fine. But it also fits in Stampin' Up's note card envelopes. Just perfect. So those are some options. Now, if it fits in the note card envelope, you're asking, can't I cut the card out of the note card? You can. But it's very, for me, it was going to be harder because I would have to line this up right here, and then you need to be really careful with the edges because they're just barely going to fit on the note card. But it can be done. It can be done. And, if that's what you have as note cards and that's what you want to do, that'll work just fine. Okay, now we'll put this card together. So, now that I have my card base, I'm going to just get some glue. And hopefully it works today. Seems like every time I pick it up anymore, I'm running out. I didn't realize I used that much of it, but I guess I used more than I thought. And then, let's see, that's the top, so I want to line it up. Push it down a little. It's a good thing about the glue. Gives you some time to kind of get everything just so. There we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and put the inside panel in. There we go. Then I wanted to show you what I did with my boat. I don't know, I'm all into building layers with multiple die cuts, I guess. So I have 3 of these little boats that I punched. And let's see, I think they go this way. So we'll just glue them together real quick here. Okay, we'll get this one on here. Okay, now we can put our blue one on. There's a little corner. My punch must have not had enough cardstock. I should have been paying more attention. We'll fix that. And now we can put this on our card. And see, this will give the boat a little dimension without the use of dimensionals. And then I'm going to use some dimensionals when it comes to the sails. So there we go with that. Go ahead and put this on. Oh, I better wait till I get the sails on just in case. This one goes here. This one goes here. And I think, if I remember correctly, I kind of took my bone folder and folded it back just a little bit. And then I'll get the dimensionals. I thought I had them out. I guess I don't. Let's see, here's, oh, those are the, let's get some of the smaller ones, the mini ones. There's 2 in there. And then pull the backs off. We're going to put a little dab of glue. Right there. And then put a little dab right here. There we go. Now we can put this on here. And we'll put our little rhinestones. There we go. And now all we have to do is put a few little waves on there. And I just happen to have some Misty Moonlight ribbon from when Misty Moonlight was an in color. But if you don't have that, you can use any kind of blue ribbon. You can even use some rickrack if you sew and you happen to have some blue rickrack. Or you can, if you have white ribbon, you can use the Misty Moonlight Stampin' Blend and dye it. And there was a time when we would put a lot of ribbon on cards in a very similar manner to this. But what I did, I used my glue dots. Before, I would just put some like snail adhesive here and kind of fold my ribbon back and forth. But I decided to, I think, make it harder. But the first thing I wanted to do was make sure my ribbon ends weren't going to be frayed. So I put a glue dot on the end and just folded it over. And I did the same thing the next end. Then, oops, I put a glue dot right here. It doesn't want to stick, wants to stick to my finger and not the ribbon. There we go. And then on the other end, okay, then I just took a couple glue dots and put them right under the boat. I think maybe 3. I took this in and put it here and just sort of move my ribbon kind of back and forth. I think I might need another one here. Yep. And there we go. Just kind of moved it around. I might need one more. And I mean, you can do it however you like. The one I did right here, I think, turned out better than this one. And there we go. There's the little shaped card. The happy birthday. Hope this year is full of adventure and excitement. And these sentiments are from the On the Ocean stamp set. And all of the supplies for these cards, the cutting measurements and diagrams and other things will be available on my corresponding blog post. And the link to that blog post will be in the description of this video. Now let's go on and I'll show you one more thing I did with this card. And I was just so happy. I really like this color combination. It may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I just liked it. I was really happy the way it turned out. So that happens sometimes. Sometimes I don't like the way they turn out, but this one I was really happy with it. So I have recreated this card right here. And this is in the new Moody Mauve. And then this is the Marina Mist. not Marina Mist, I'm sorry, Misty Moonlight. Marina Mist, that was another one of my favorite Stampin' Up! Colors. But as you can see, I just have these pieces of the stamp that was die cut. And this one is going to go right there. But before I do that, I want to put this ribbon on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some adhesive. I think I'll use the Stampin' Seal Plus. Just put it right here and right here. Fold that back a little. And then just put that right there. And then we'll put this one right here. Then we're going to, I think I need to put some on this side too, now that I think about it. So that'll hold it in place. Okay, and now we can peel the backs off of these dimensionals. I did put quite a few on here. Just want to stay in place. We go, and then we'll open up the card. Just here, the ribbon. There we have it. This one needs to be moved down just a little. There we go. And now, like I said, I have the full panel here that would adhere it in there, and then it hides the ribbon. So that's how I did this card. So we have these two cards, and then we have the shaped cards. And then here's the card. This is that new bubble bath color, the pink. And this card. And these were all made using the Countryside in Corners bundle. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, stamp happy.